Zoe! Zoe over here. She doesn't look that amused. But anyways, hey everyone, Ashley here with another reading, and well, let's just say this one I was trying to do yesterday, but I kind of had a few screw ups, and well, let's just say I've been trying to wear this while also wearing this, and it turns out it can work. But I don't think it's going to be well that useful. But if you guys want to see me read or probably do a reaction while wearing the mask, then feel free to leave a comment below so that I can pretty much get appreciation if you guys would want to see. But anyways, this is basically the next chapter of, well, the new guy. If you basically recall, Lightning was basically in prison, but he escaped, but he was having some struggle with having to fight Awclut and Tundra, but of course Danny got him out of there and was taken to the doctor. And then we ended up seeing him, well, be questioned by Mob while he was giving him his cybernetic upgrades. And this is going to be the continuation from that. So without further ado, let us see exactly what's going on. Lightning didn't know how long he was in that room with the thylacine, but he knew he did something to him. He started to feel portions of his limbs, suitable twitches and spasms here and there. He just couldn't understand what was going on. Lightning waited, dead silence. Upon waiting for the anesthetics to wear off, a small blue screen activated on his left side. 3 light blue dots blinked within its center. The Lynx found this odd. He never remembered seeing this screen ever show up in his vision. A few seconds after, 3 small boxes popped up, each reading Vitals, Connection System, and System Analyzing Binary Coding zoomed across the 3 boxes and signifying that something was trying to start. Lightning could only recognize a few words such as reprogramming, enlightenment, rebooting, and activation. Once the codes passed by, a text appeared upon the main screen. System online. Welcome to the Eggman Empire. With the logo of the smiling doctor. Makes you wonder if Eggman actually does this as an advertisement or something. Then again, he did make a commercial where they actually did advertise the Egg Empire. I'm sorry. It just got me thinking of that commercial. It's just weird. The 3 pop-ups disappeared and the light blue screen turned almost transparent, but it still was dark. The Lynx then felt a hand near his right cheek, slowly peeling away a few bandages. Or at least that's what he assumed it was. A bright light was revealed, catching him off guard for a moment. He blinked a couple of times until his eyes could focus. Lightning? Lightning, can you hear me? A muffled voice spoke. The light brown Lynx turned his head towards his left to see a small ice blue fox standing beside him. She appeared to be quite young, too young to serve in any army as a soldier. Hey! I think I know who we're seeing. There is one other fox aside from Danny. The fox wore a dark purple attire with 2 ponytails in the back. Her robotic colored eyes. Calicode. Seriously, that is a word. Which, oddly enough, that's what my dog has. How ironic. We're fixed onto him. Also, it's Nika, guys! Oh, man. Inspecting his very being, the Lynx waited for his hearing to straighten out. Can you hear me clearly? Lightning spoke up. Yes. The fox raised her hand towards his left ear and snapped her fingers 3 times. The lynx's midnight ears flinched at the sound. She then reached over to the right and did the same thing. A positive response. She cracked a small smile. Cybernetic ears at 100% capability testing transmission. The fox turned towards a robotic screen next to a heart monitor nearby and typed in a message. Lightning then heard radio static blaring in his ears. His reflexes kicked in as he attempted to shield his ears from the irritating high-pitched sound. It only lasted for 3 seconds until it ceased. Need to report to Ma about the problem. The fox wrote it down in a lab report sheet and tried the transmission again. This time the static was softer and a robotic female voice could be heard. Nicole? No, wait, no, she's with the good guys. Never mind. If you receive this message, you are currently in cybernetic testing. Raise your hand to notify your preparation that I'm not sure what that word is, that you can hear this message. You know, it kind of feels like that thing you have to do in school to test your hearing or probably your eyesight. Yeah, where you have to basically just raising your hand to where the sound is coming from. That's literally what it feels like. Tell me if you guys had to go through that same process when you were back in school or in school. Lightning slowly raised his right hand, following instructions. The female noticed his reaction and pressed another button on the console board. Your preparator has received your response. Now read the message upon your cybernetic counterpart out loud. A message appeared upon his left side of his eye, the one he still could only see black. He spoke up. The message you are reading will complete your sensory testing for vision and hearing. Please wait for further instructions. That was lightning. Because it literally did say that, well, he had to read it out loud. The fox wrote down the results with a pleased look. Okay, let's see if you can function with that new eye of yours, Lightning. Lightning didn't realize that the girl had said his name. He never met this girl before. How would she know? Wait, how do you know my name? He pondered as he waited for a response. Danny told me when she was told I was going to be conducting your cybernetics test. The lynx tried his best to remember where he heard that name. He barely remembered anything from last night besides that other blue fox. Yeah, he has went through a lot, hasn't he? Maybe these two were related in some way. I will give you a fair warning. The two of us are not sisters. Well, you kind of act like a bit. So don't call siblings or cousins or any family related. The fox said as she unwrapped the bandages from his left eye. I still don't know your name though. The fox made eye contact with him as she continued to unwrap. It's Nika Kitsukaru. Ugh. Jeez. After watching Persona 5, you expect me to actually know these types of things. Ugh. I'm a red-marked fox, second in command to the trailless egg boss, and the very first egg boss. Lightning was taken aback by this statement. She looked way too young to be considered the first egg boss. This war has been raging ever since he was a baby, and he's 22 now. Huh. That's nice to know. This couldn't be right. Before the lynx could refute her claim, the fox spoke up. I'm not a real Mobian, if you were wondering about my age. I'm artificial, so I can't age the same way you Mobians do. Oh, so she's like Shadow in a way. Only not as edgy, which I'm fine with that. Honestly, I don't see types of picture where Nika is intimidating. All we get is pretty much her being curious or cute or just probably just messing around with Ma or something. Seriously, if you actually go to Nika's page, you can see that the pictures of her and Ma are just adorable. The Lynx was still complex about her comment. You'll learn sooner or later, Nika said as she folded back the bandages from his eye. He blinked several times and rubbed his irritated iris to clear his vision. He couldn't believe how much his vision was enhanced. It almost seemed impossible. Well, Ma, I've got to give credit to him. He definitely knew what he was doing. How many fingers? The fox held up 3 of her fingers in front of him and waited. 3. Nika nodded and wrote down her final results. You're clear. Report any discomforts or glitches in your cybernetics to the cybernetic department. If you start to bleed or bodily functions shut down, go straight to the medical center. I'll send you the maps and numbers to the facilities along with your room number when it is finalized. You will start physical training in 3 days. You will be dorming in Barracks A. Seriously, I cannot really pronounce that right, so I'm just going to call it that. Lightning sat up, lifting the white sheet off his body. The legs felt a bit stiff. Might have been the effects from last night. Must be the drugs still working on him. Or they're just wearing off. He wore a white medical gown constructing with the blue garring he laid upon. He noticed a few markings on his arms and legs matching the markings the thylacine had made last night. Trust me, my husband knows his way around the body. You can barely see the stitches, can you? Yeah, it's at this point where Nika and Ma are, well, together. You know. The fox bragged about the thylacine's handiwork. Lightning could only stare at the scars in disbelief. There was nothing unsightly marks in his skin or discoloration. Nika handed the lynx a mirror. Say hello to the new you. He slowly took the mirror and brought it up to his face, revealing his complexion. Lightning flinched back, seeing the results of his transformation. His left eye was replaced with some type of robotic screen. His once white sclera, it's the white part of the eye, had turned jet black, and his cobalt iris replaced with a blue robotic lens. Strange devices were installed into the lynx's ear canals and supported itself upon his inner ear. He could only stare deeply into the reflection of this unfamiliar creature that stood before him. Lightning remained speechless as he looked as Nika took the mirror away. All right, it's time to get up and get you on your way. The fox detached the threads and wires from his arms and ears. The lynx shook the drowsy feeling off and got to his feet. The overwhelming feeling of power flowed through his system, almost like he was reborn. Well, yeah, Lightning, welcome to the reboot, buddy. You deserve this. Because seriously, when you think about it, Lightning wasn't owned by Ken Penders, which is good, but why didn't they bring him back in the reboot, or they didn't use him in the reboot is beyond me. I mean, they actually brought in Conquering Storm, well, brought her back, along with Mordred Hood, Cuckoo, well, then again, he's a video game character, and Awklot. But you see what I mean? How is it that characters like that, they get reused, but some characters from the past, they don't? Lightning has been around long before Connie was even around. So why didn't they bring him back? I'm sure that there are Lightning fans out there that would love to see him. And who knows, he might have been like an extra egg boss that they were actually planning to use, but they just couldn't. Eh, oh well. We can still pretty much make him an egg boss regardless. Because he deserved better than how he got treated in the comics. I'll go into that later once we get deeper into this. He took a deep breath through his nostrils and exhaled. He started to walk towards the door where the fox was waiting. Surprisingly, he didn't feel lightheaded or off-balanced. Nika opened the door and laid Lightning out to the courtyard. The area was rustic, barely touched by metal. Two basketball courses stood at the front of the door with dirt paths leading deeper into the area filled with training courses, miniature labs, small gardens, and barracks. The curious feline stepped out of the shadow of the building and into the light of day, taking in the sights and sounds. Its warm embrace gently wrapped around his silky coat. Aw, that's cute, describing that. This is the recovery center. This will be your home for a month. The boss will find you a base to enter control or maintain with another's assistance. As time goes on, you'll be promoted and assigned to a difficult task. Or different task. Ugh. Because they both have the same sounding word and it definitely sounds alike. Nika's words did not reach the lynx's ears. Lightning was too consumed in his awestruck wonder to pay attention. He wanted to explore his new surroundings a bit more. Huh. Oh, Lightning, you curious cat, you. He's a curious kitty, isn't he? And I bet he's just super fluffy. His speed started to increase as he wandered down the dirt path. The fox turned her head and saw the lynx already running ahead. Hey, wait! Your body isn't used to her cybernetics yet! Probably should have kept a better eye on him. Eh, Nika? Dang it, I lost my place. Sorry about that, guys. We're back. Nika went into pursuit, chasing after the lynx, but his speed was it was unlike, is what this word is supposed to mean. He took off, leaving the fox in awe. She hasn't seen anyone adapt to their cybernetics as quickly as he could, but it was still her job to make sure he doesn't get into trouble. Lightning saw only a quarter of the area. The vast obstacle courses and gardens, the thrill and wonder of the facility took the lynx captive. As he ran further and further, he came across several shacks that took form of a small house. Lightning stopped himself and took in his surroundings a bit more in detail. How could an empire such as the Mad Doctor's look like this? I don't know. Hey, Lynx! A voice spoke softly. Oh, hey, how was that softly? You were clearly yelling his name. From behind him, he turned around towards the shack to see a familiar blue fox leave the door. His memory came back to him the moment he saw the figure. It was her, the one that found him and took him to the doctor. Your name was Danny, right? She smiled. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, gotta pretty much separate the two voices. She picked up a nearby rock and chucked it at the lynx. Think fast! Lightning was quick to respond, catching the gray mineral. Not bad. Looks like you're adapting just fine. The two stared at each other for a brief moment until Nika came running in. Like I was saying, You shouldn't push yourself like that, or you might end up hurting yourself. The fox stated while trying to regain her breath. Don't worry, Nika. I'm sure he'll be fine. He passed the rock toss test, and he did better than I expected. The fox collected herself and stood up. Well, better safe than sorry is what they say. That's all I'm doing. Nika walked over to the other fox. Just make sure he knows where to go, and get him something more suitable to wear if he's going to wander around again. Yeah. Oh boy, Lightning. He's just a curious kitten, isn't he? He's a curious kitty. Zoe, what are you doing? Just a moment. Okay, guys, we're back. Yeah, I'm on it. Danny said, slightly unamused. Come along, Lightning. Why do I imagine that she wants to hug Lightning because he's just so fluffy? I mean, heck, she pretty much does that with Connie. Eh. Why do I imagine that Lightning is going to get like a slight fur cut or something? He's been out in the wild for a while, so how do you expect him to pretty much keep a good groom? And again, he's a lynx, so I'd probably be surprised. She walked back into the small shack. The lynx followed behind her in. It looked quaint and simplistic. Majority of the room was occupied by the beds, at least 10 on each side of the room. A couple of Mobians were either sleeping or gathering a few other things. Danny had walked into a smaller room filled with several closets. This'll be your temporary uniform until further notice. She handed over a dark gray shirt and black shorts. Lightning looked at the piece of cloth with grieved expression. The fox didn't know what to say about his off demeanor. Is there something wrong with the uniform? No, my apologies. Lightning bowed in respect and went to go change. The fox did have several of his weapons that the prison had obtained. One she recognized with ease. Traditional weapons from Eurasia. Even his outfit resembled one of the high-ranking ninjas. Oh! Oh, that's a good callback. That's an actual good callback. Because if you must know, in the comics, the earlier comics, or older continuity or something, Lightning was a high-ranking ninja. He was the strongest of his clan. That's a good callback, or throwback. Either way, that is still cool. She walked into the main quarters and placed his weapons upon an empty bed. She stood there in a daze at the blades until a notice appeared upon her open atopic lens. The doctor was ordering a mandatory meeting later tonight to announce something important and resolution for the Empire. She was also getting called back to Avalon for an opposing threat. I guess Mordred does need her help. The fox had to take her leave, but she had other duties to attend to as well. She grabbed a few items and placed a note next to the articles upon a dresser. She wrote a small message and left the barracks. When Lightning had changed out of the medical gown and returned to the hallway, the fox was nowhere to be seen. He wasn't sure where, but she probably had other things to do. The lynx went to get familiar with the house. The building had four wardrobes, 8 changing areas, 6 bathrooms, and a mid-sized kitchen. Seriously, I cannot read today. Ugh. Sorry guys. A few stared at the strange links as he walked around the room. He noticed a bed with some of his old things folded, clean and neatly set. Lightning sighed as the memories these items bared washed over him, the honor he was bestowed and then stripped away. He placed them in a nearby dresser, not noticing the writing note left for him, and sat upon the bedside. He could still vividly remember the lush cherry blossoms in the spring, the busy village springing with life, and his family he was forced to leave behind. How he missed those days where his life seemed perfect. Oh, but it was all stripped away from him. Just the name of his old home brought his heart sorrow. Oh, poor guy. Yet it was still all he had left. I'm gonna say this right now. Huck you, Sonic! Seriously, huck that guy. And Monkey Kong. Seriously, in older continuity, Lightning had a chance to go back home. He was happy where he belonged. He was happy to be home where he belonged. And of course, he was going to be a bodyguard to the Bride of Conquering Storm. But of course, that was during the Iron Dominion thing. And well, Monkey Khan basically was going to try to talk things with Conquering Storm, but she says that fighting is more way to resolve it. Then again, it's Connie. Who am I supposed to assume? And let's just say Monkey Khan is a coward. Okay, I wouldn't call him a coward, but he didn't fight, okay? And also, he brought Sonic along. I get why they would bring Sonic, and they were teaming up with the Destructics because they wanted to get Lightning back. But here's the thing. Lightning chose this, okay? He wasn't forced to. It was his call. And that was when Scourge basically wasn't around with the team. So yeah, Sonic beat Lightning and Lightning was kicked out. And honestly, you just feel so bad for him. You just want to hug the poor guy. I mean, seriously, I felt sorry for the poor guy. And this was the old Conquering Storm. She didn't do much. All she did was just sat there and look intimidating. Sure, there was a little bits of her fighting, but that's not much. Dang you, Penders! Also, the issue I was talking about was in a Sonic universe, and this was Ian Flynn's doing to make drama. Oh my god. Ian, you're clever, man. You are clever. But still, just, why can't Lightning be happy for once? He's been through a lot. Why can't he just be happy for once? Which is why we're glad that he's in this reboot. What we're making. He deserves a better life. Sorry for that little rant. Let's just continue. Lightning sighed as he left the barracks. He didn't wish to dwell on his past any further. He stepped out of the sanctuary and back into the light of day. The sun was leaning upon the eastern side of the skies. It had to be around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. The Lynx walked upon the dirt path and let the road lead him. He saw many training in the area or just talking, though his curiosity got the better of him when he stumbled across one of the climbing courses. Oh boy, because if you must know, cats get very curious and they want to jump on things. And boy, this actually improvises that lynxes do this. They're really good jumpers too, despite their size. Majority of the structure was made up of wooden logs with steel reinforcements, towering at maximum height of 20 feet. The shortest was about 3.5 feet. Lightning walked over to the wooden bar and took a leap, landing perfectly upon the beam. Don't worry, cats always land on their face? Man, what kind of cat are you? Sorry. He felt a familiar rush course through his veins once again. Well, you are a cat. Lynx, after all. As he tried landing upon one of the 5-footers, the lynx could only. Oh, wait. Would continue to climb up and through the course until he grew weary. A few slips here and there, but nothing he couldn't correct before he hit the ground. Lightning lost track of time and never realized how the sky was turning dim. The vibrant blue ocean had transformed into dark ocean frames with black plumes flowing behind it. He saw mechanical droids walking along the path and leading the other soldiers back to the barracks. He jumped down from the beams and planted his feet upon the ground. Lightning took a deep breath to repel the oxygen in his body. In an attempt to cool off, he picked up several people closing in on his location. Soldier, retrieve to your barracks. No one is permitted on the training ground until 5 a.m. A robotic voice announced. The lynx got up and left. He arrived back in his barracks where the house was packed. Busy bodies scurrying up and down the halls trying to get into the showers, change out of their sweaty clothes, or just trying to get a bite to eat before bed. Most of them had taken a bath already, mainly getting their things straight before grabbing a meal. Lightning walked over to his bed, seeing a new pair of loosely fitting clothes, soap, and a towel. A note was left there reading, "This is for your personal hygiene at the barracks. Still trying to work out a room for you, but your uniform should be given to you tomorrow. Danny." Aw, that's nice of her. He raised a brow about this mysterious fox, but he was tired and wanted to rest. Lightning took the articles and left to one of the open showers. It was small, but compared to the living situation he had before joining, this was nothing. He took a quick shower, rinsing the sweat and dirt from his fur. Yeah, he definitely needed that. And I'm guessing there was like some flea stuff so he can get rid of those annoying bugs. After 15 minutes, Lightning was clean and dry. He hung up his sweaty clothes on the line behind the barracks along with the rest. He wasn't really that hungry, and none of the food seemed to be appealing to the lynx. He noticed a small bowl of assorted fruits upon the countertop of the kitchen area. My guess it must have been Darian who left that stuff. Because, he's actually a chef in this. Well, he's a chef in the Egg Empire, but he's also an egg boss, but he does like to, make sure everyone is well fit to fight with a full stomach. Because, you can't fight on an empty stomach. He picked up a red apple, debating whether he wanted it or not. There was nothing else he desired to eat, so the apple was the best choice. He bit down on the apple, exposing its white flesh. He went back to his bed to finish his meal, taking notice of all the soldiers. 6 were already curled up under the sheets, half asleep. 5 were sitting in their beds, reading or finishing their meal, and the other 8 were walking around trying to tire themselves out. Lightning had never seen such a variety of species and nationalities. I'm not sure what that word is. In one room before. From people from North America to the most southern parts of Africa and to the farthest reaches of the Eurasian islands. How strange to see such a wide range of people all under a Union force. front. Eh. Fighting for the same cause. The lynx had finished his apple several minutes later and discarded the remains of the core into the trash. That must have been a really big apple. Must be a jumbo fruit in a way. Upon going to his bed, another unfamiliar figure walked into the barracks. Okay, everybody, lights out. Oh, I know who it is. A slender figure entered the main living space, assisting a few of the soldiers. It was some type of bird, but Lightning had never seen such a breed such as her. Oh, it's Mama Bird! It's Nenfis, everyone! Oh, man. If anything, she is definitely a perfect selection to make sure that everyone gets their well-deserved rest. Oh, Nenfis. It's nice to see that she's getting more uh, involved in some things that doesn't really have to involve fighting and all. Her entire clothes consisted of white, black, with golden streaks of gold to complement. To complement. Huh. A little redundant using gold twice. He couldn't say what her facial features were. They were all covered by a golden mask. Come on, Jackson. Get some rest. Hey, Jackson! You actually got a shout out in this. Her voice felt soft and compassionate, elegant to the ears. Well, she is sweet. She stopped at each bed to see if everyone was accounted for. She stopped near him and spoke. You have a long day ahead of you. Get your rest. The Langston argue and pulled the sheets up to cover himself. After making sure everyone was settled and the house was locked up, she turned off the lights and left without another word. Lightning lay there in the darkness and reflects upon what she said. A long day ahead of him is what she said. As to what he was going to do was unknown, but he wasn't taking the word for granted. The lynx slowly closed his eyes and drifted away. We can leave Lightning and see what the egg bosses are up to. Meanwhile, at the Death Egg. Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom! Because, come on! That's exactly what this feels like! The Blue Fox had been waiting for the rest of her comrades and the Mad Doctor to arrive at the meeting. Danny had finished had finished her mission objective, but as to why he called for this meeting so abruptly, she didn't know. Dr. Eggman doesn't make haste for a new egg boss. No, something was going on and he probably wasn't kidding when he meant the meeting was important. She knew one was called the Rehabilitation Center, and the rest were just late. Not counting herself, 8 individuals were sitting and waiting within the mid-sized room. The fox observed the 8 egg bosses scattered about. Abyss, a light green squid, played a casual game of solitaire upon her tentacle device. Huh. So I guess she's playing poker or something? Also, that actually sounds kind of cool. Axel, a dark brown water buffalo, was fighting the urge to sleep. Oh, I can't blame him. I mean, I would be that too if I had to wait. Tundra was occupied by a phone call. Ma was having a private talk with Nika. I'm guessing they have a little bit of some alone time afterwards, or probably discussing about a project of some sort. Clove, a mint green and black pronghorn. Hey, it's Jackson's waifu! I'm sorry. I had to. Was just wishing to return to the base. Yeah, gotta check on Cassia. That's exactly what she is mainly hoping to get out of. You know. Thunderbolt, a short yellow chinchilla, was watching the door like a hawk for her boss. And Conquering Storm, hey Connie! A tan lynx was meditating in her seat. I guess that's what she mainly does whenever she goes to a meeting. She's like, I don't want to deal with this, so I'm just going to meditate. Can't say I blame her. Danny walked around the room, wanted to keep herself occupied by something. Why didn't you just draw? I mean, seriously, you could have just brought some art equipment so that it would be less boring. I mean, everyone else basically has something to do. The tropical fish. Wait, there's a fish tank? Okay, so Eggman basically has some wildlife. Who would have thought? Within the tank would surface. Time seemed to slip by away when her mind was taken captive by elegant and foraging creatures. She never noticed the missing 5 enter after half an hour of observing the guild beans. Huh. That's kind of weird. The fox was pulled out of her gaze when she felt something tap her shoulder. She turned to see a green serpent standing behind her. Oh, it's Mordred! Oh. That's great to see that he's here too. His golden irises, alit with concern, yet displayed a warm compassion that brought a smile to her face. Danny could understand the cobra's silent request and went back to her seat. All 14 chairs were filled. Other bosses were either busy with an important task or was excluded from the call. Pretty much I'm guessing the Raptors were pretty busy with something. Mainly, I guess Yoster was just doing his own thing, and I just probably was just somewhere on an important mission or something like that. Because I'm part of the egg bosses too, you know. The deranged doctor soon entered the room. Ah, thank you all so much for coming so quickly. He spoke in slight annoyance and glee in his tone. He walked over to his chair, staring at all of the faces of his egg bosses. Now, I called you here because there are some major changes that will be made to the Empire, along with you. Majority of the room was feeling a sense of dread as the Mad Doctor snapped his fingers. A set of pixelated holograms appeared entitled Boss Reboot. Huh. I guess you can say this is rebooting that type of series that Archie basically didn't continue. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but hey, can you really blame me for thinking it? Plan Boss Reboot is a new system I created to help with the shortage of soldiers in the Empire. You 14 are my best and most trusted. I'm not sure about trusted, Doc. So you will be undergoing a few changes in your cybernetics. The room was deadly silent. These changes sounded drastic, if not life-threatening, on a much higher level. For the 4 who have been keeping up with their cybernetic upgrades, I applaud you for your consistency. You also might have noticed a few new features that might seem a bit odd for an upgrade. The bosses started looking around the room for the possible 4 Dr. Eggman mentioned. Most of the room suspected Maw and Thunderbolt. As for the other 2, it was a hit or miss. Hang on a sec, guys. Okay, I'm back. The four of you know who you are, so stand up. The doctor waved his hand, signaling them to rise. The whole room remained motionless until Moss stood up with a proud smile plastered on his metallic muzzle. The guy is obsessed with his cybernetics and robotics, of course. Then again, it's Ma. Who do you expect? You expect less from him. It's a mysterious one. But hey, we like that about him. His wife stood alongside him soon after. A few seconds passed, another stood up. A white vulture with a long flowing cape. Memphis was the one of the last people to be suspected for the changes. I'm guessing she and Kuga are gonna have like a interesting conversation. The fourth one stood right after her. Danny sighed, knowing a couple of the people in the room would say a thing or two about her decision. Of course, why didn't I guess? Thank you. You four will be have to to privilege to test and choose the new personalized cybernetic weapons and mechs in my latest project. The holograms disabled dissolved and revealed several weapons that ranged from handheld pistols to machine guns. These weapons can only be operated by using the new cybernetic links. They work almost like a magnet and a USB drive combined. They thread through your nervous systems and connect to your cerebral cortex. Immediately, once the connection is set, the weapon is to your full disposal using your head as the main control center. Talk about using your head, huh? The weapon will immediately shut down the moment the links disconnect. The dismounture was displayed with the holograms. The advanced wiring that connected the gun to the body was a disturbing yet interesting sight. Now, these are just the tinkers. The crown jewels of the project are the new defense weapons. The doctor boasted as a few of the designs appeared. The menacing metal extractors struck fear and intimidation with a single glare. The bosses didn't know whether they should be afraid or impressed. These are just a couple of the mechs that are ready for testing. Ma, Nika, Memphis, and Danny will be the first to choose their mechs as reward for being so diligent about the changes. The rest of you will be going under the new upgrade one by one every week. Next one on the list will be Ocelot. Ooh, I guess considering the fact of what happened in the last chapter, I can't blame him for letting him be the next one to go. You'll be getting the upgrade in 2 weeks. The rest of you will be notified when the schedule is finalized. You know, it makes me question, is he gonna give that to Cassia? If so, then I guess Cassia will be more capable of defending herself, though I don't think Clove would approve of it. It's just a thought. The room stayed silent. No one knew what to say. They only nodded in agreement. Good now. Get back to work. Let's get to work! Had to say it. The 14 were released back to their bases. All but the 4 that was called earlier. The doctor was addressing them about their cybernetic test tomorrow. You 4 are to start a new revelation culture that will be better for the Empire and lead to groundbreaking discoveries. The future of the Eggman Empire is bright, and you will be putting your names in the book of history. Don't mess it up. His grin stretching wide around his cheeks, sending a chills down Danny's and Nephis' spines. The 4 spoke up in unison. Yes, sir. Good. The doctor chirped. Report to the East Wing quarters at 9 a.m. sharp. I'll be watching the 4 of you, so don't do anything stupid or destroy my latest inventions. With a final nod, they were dismissed. A few of the egg bosses stood there waiting for the 4. They had so many questions and comments to say. The 4 were bombarded by the small crowd. but they stood their ground as best as they could. I'm guessing Ma is basically just taking this as, well, approval, and Nika basically is there to give him that support, kinda, I guess? Or probably telling him, don't go over your head, Ma. And Memphis is just taking it easy. But I'm guessing that Cuckoo is just questioning and that he's just worried about her a bit. But she reassures that she's fine. That's just me saying because, well, I ship the two. Danny was able to sneak away from the others almost successfully. Solid Danny. As she was about to turn the corner of the hall, her name was called. The fox froze in her tracks. She hoped she could at least avoid him until the next morning. Danny turned to face the cobra from earlier. Before you start ranting, I didn't know my system was upgraded for this. How do you know that? How did you not know that? The cobra reflected at her response. Mordred, my cybernetics broke during one of my missions. I went to Ma and asked him to fix it, and he mentioned an upgrade, and so I was like, why not? So he did his job, and when I woke, my body felt weird. I had more metal parts on my neck and arms, and these strange wire things that looked like it crawled out of an alien sci-fi movie were coming out of me. For some reason, I think that Mom might be a fan of sci-fi. Why do I imagine he'd be likely a fan of Star Wars slightly? Or he'd be into it, at least. Anyways, the fox yelled in frustration and anger, revealing the wires from this briefing. The cobra stood still and silent, letting her blow off some steam. Mordred took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. This wasn't her fault. That's all I needed to know. He spoke softly, not wanting to pursue the topic any further. Thank you. Danny left with no other words to her room. The cobra felt guilt chipping away at him for accusing her of wanting to change herself so drastically. He was only looking after her health. She tended to push herself to further limits if she felt like she wasn't doing something right. Mordred has been trying to break that habit, but he also needs to give her space to breathe. There is a fine line between affection and policing. The cobra sighed and turned back to face the crowd. Ma and Nika seemed fine with the changes, but Memphis looked a bit disappointed in herself for letting this happen. Aww, poor Memphis. The others were not making it any better. The older vulture excused herself from the interrogation and left for her home. The others eventually followed and left back to their home bases. And that is the end of chapter 2. And I have to admit, it was worth the wait. And I gotta say, well, it makes you wonder what's going to happen next. I am curious as to what this new concept is going to be and how Lightning is going to actually get involved. And boy, is it going to be quite an awkward reunion to find out that Conquering Storm is part of the Empire and she's an egg boss. I'm guessing he's just going to keep his distance. Well, so I'm guessing he's going to be mad at her. Well, then again, I can't blame him for actually wanting to be mad. But I think a part of him still pretty much cares about her despite that. I don't know, maybe that's just me. But anyways, guys, if you like this, then feel free to go to Danny's page and tell her that I actually sent you. Also, give a like to her channel. I will put that in the description because the girl pretty much deserves that support and the love she deserves because she definitely makes great content. And considering how much work she actually puts into these things, it's definitely worth checking. This is Ashley, and I'll see y'all later. Bye, everyone.